I see you in the force.
It's always going to be
politics. We could fell the dragon.
Yeah.
What? Dragon?
Yeah. Do you think like if we just went back to talking about Canadian politics, the dragon would be like, all right, I'll go.
You know what?
Really? Because I have more fucking things to say about that, but whatever.
Canadian politics is different. I don't like. Well, I know there's this idea that Canadian politics is boring. I just think that it's not like super exaggerated. Like a lot of it is of substance.
Oh my god! I actually found an objective.
The reason it's seen as boring is that it's not as polemical.
Yeah, like, if you watch like. But
yeah.
the thing is, if you watch stuff like CPAC, everyone gets really emotional. If you watch House of Commons, like those politicians get really hardcore.
Yo,
but they
there's nothing like Thai Parliament. Thai Parliament is amazing. People will like reach across like the spectrum and like punch people in the face.
That's great.
Okay,
awesome.
We are looking for the grave of Garenham.
But even in Canadian politics, like a lot of. It's just like a lot of the topics that tend to go up just feel like actually important topics. Like I feel like a lot of them are stuff of substance. Obviously, it's electoral, so it's not always like going to be like it's not going to always be useful stuff. But I feel like a lot of it's interesting, you know. So that's the thing. Like it's not one of spectacle. Like I feel like when I watch American TV and American stuff on TV, it feels like everyone's just commentating on a boxing match. But it's not like
basically.
You know, like it's not.
Yeah.
It's not like the same priorities, and I think it should be as a population.
America has like such a basic understanding of like politics and stuff. That's just like that's the way that we have to present it in order to get people to actually give a shit. Because
it's like, oh, Ron meets.
When you actually get into like the meat of the kind of issues that we have as a country, and honestly, you could extend this towards the indie community as well. But like when you get really into the meat of it, people just don't get it because they haven't been fashioned to learn about this kind of stuff. Once you start talking about like all these other layers that go on, like in American politics, it's like that's like too much for like most people. Like that's just like you can't summarize that into like 140 characters. So why does it matter?
Well, I mean, it's not like our jobs and livelihoods maybe depend on these different factors or anything.
Yeah, exactly.
That's why,
like, people don't actually consider that. People give a shit about the kind of politics that we get mad about because it's shit that affects our lives on a daily fucking basis.
Yeah.
Like I'll wake up and it's just exactly the same, then, you know, it hurts more and more until shit changes.
What about the games, though? The games.
Yeah, look, what about what I want,
Why can't we just talk about video games?
All I'm saying is that I don't want a female character in Mighty Number 9, okay? And that's just my opinion, and I'm allowed to have it. Freedom of speech, First Amendment. First Amendment.
Okay, we can just step back for a second then. Because Lana and TJ, you both brought up something which I think is really important, which is that I understand. I've worked for Democrats. I've literally helped get Democrats elected to office. I understand how marginal the difference actually is. I understand in a lot of ways how little it actually matters. However, the next white guy I meet who doesn't vote will be punched directly in the face by me. You know?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, sure.
Yeah, because
can we just like make this a rule for every year? Like,
you know what? This is an interesting thing because I think there are a lot of people who don't have much faith in electoral voting politics. I like to vote because you know, why not? You know, but there are definitely people who don't.
It's very like our system is extreme. Like you'll see a lot of, in Canada anyway, a lot of general apathy towards the voting process, and it's because quite literally, if you live in a particular riding where you have an alternative or like fringe political philosophy and you want to vote for like a third party, like chances are your vote does not actually count.
Oh yeah, like straight up, third parties in America basically
you're wasting your vote.
Exist to take votes away from the Democrats and the Republicans.
Well, here's what I'm...
Nobody ever plans on a third party winning because they never fucking do. Because nobody gives enough of a shit about a third party. They just want Democrats or Republicans. They don't want any of all this other chaff that's just like you know, getting in the way and making people have to make even more decisions that they're already used to making. Because, you know, 2 decisions alone in America is like, that's too much. You need to ease it up a bit. You just
America has this really pronounced, like, bipartisanship thing.
Shout out to Socialist Alternative, by the way. Just put
it.
Yeah, I'm probably voting for the only socialist alternative that, like, in my province for the upcoming election. But that's beside the point, because the reason I feel comfortable doing that is because I live in a particular riding. Like, what's the American equivalent of a riding?
No, like there's like an electoral college. I think.
Like an
electoral college is our big thing here.
Okay, so it's kind of like I live in a riding where I feel like pretty much safe voting for that party because they have a shot here. But if I lived in an area that was primarily like Quebec Liberal,
I mean, like my area, like
yeah,
to the
then
west.
there's no point in voting for any other party. It's just not going to happen. So even if you put one vote towards like that like an alternative party because it's first past the post, they still won't actually get a seat in that riding.
I feel like that mirrors a lot of like stuff that Americans go through because we have state designations. Like we have our blue states, which is like Democrats, and our red states, which are Republicans. And most of the time, if you live in a red state, you don't really plan on voting for a blue candidate because it's like red state. So I mean, like of course, people are gonna vote for the Republican. Or like if you're in a Democrat state, it's like of course you're gonna vote for Democrat, stuff like that. And that results in a lot of like voter apathy in America, especially when you get to like certain areas of the country, which is actually like why the election of Barack Obama was like such a huge deal, because there were so many of these states that were just like so aggressively red for the longest time that were suddenly voting Democrat because of Obama, and that made a huge difference politically, and of course it made a huge difference for black people everywhere. But it's still like there's still that
difference, but...
Well, the thing it's really complicated. It's like getting explained to how Barack Obama's election helped black people is it's a totally different discussion that could go like ages, forever. But like essentially like that made a huge difference in general because like so many of these states that were normally like red, and I would say that we have more, maybe not nowadays, but back then we definitely had a lot more red states than we had blue states, so there would always be a higher chance of Republican winning. Case in point, Al Gore versus George Bush, 2000.
No.
Or was that not 2000? I don't even
remember. That was 2000, except Al Gore won that fucking election. Don't even get me started.
We all know that he won, but
yeah.
I mean, either way,
I'm sorry,
red states, etc., all that shit.
I don't even care if he's some goddamn Clinton Democrat.
If Al Gore would have won by a huge margin by our votes, I feel like they still would have done some bullshit at the Electoral College at that time. Especially because back then, the world in 2000 is a lot different than it is right now. I know I talk about how racism in America is really shitty and it's always getting worse. And to be fair, it is, but it's not the same kind of racism that it was back in 2000. But if Barack Obama tried to get elected in 2000, he would not have won. Period.
He would have been defeated in a landslide.
It's weird for me to say that racism gets worse as though it's this weird linear thing. I think racism gets different. I think there are different factors that are around. But I think that context is a specific context. It's specific actually around capitalism and its own neoliberal structures, right? So this is race. So there's racism under post-war economy. There's racism under neoliberalism. There's racism after. There's racism, of course, around transatlantic slave economy. So so it's usually just it's not this idea of things got better, things got worse. Just things get complicated in different ways, and they're usually predicated actually under structures of capitalism as well as certain very sort of cultural changes. It's just because
moral panics too. Racism is directed to whom, and it is under a specific context of who's panicking against what. Post tragedy racism, etc.
So also, I just finished Black Skin, White Mask by Frantz Fanon, which you should read. Lon, I'll lend that to you later, actually, because I finished it today. Yeah, so I'll lend it. It's actually a legit book. Fanon is weird because he gets into Freudian stuff, and Freud is super strange. He says so Fanon will say things like the black man is a genital, the black man is a penis. He exists purely out of his sexuality. He says a lot of weird stuff like that because he does a lot of Freud stuff. But it's an old book, so he tends to.
Honestly,
there's still valuable stuff inside of it.
To be fair though, even early feminist writing was also like deeply rooted in Jung and Freud, as well as like Saussure and Derrida.
Okay.
So there's
also like weird, like awkward parts of it. You're like,
All
okay.
things considered, I really wouldn't disagree with that interpretation though.
Yeah.
Like I would say that it's actually like fairly fucking accurate, especially when you consider like the many complicated ways that black people are read in society.
Yeah.
Like there's always this stuff about like how like the black person is like by nature automatically like more virile and whatever, so it's that causes a lot of like white inferiority, and that itself proceeds into racism and all fetishization and all that.
But these are exactly things that actually Fanon tackles. In fact, some of the conclusions that I made off of when reading Fanon, because Fanon talks about the idea of like inferiority, superiority complex. One of them is the black man is a negotiation. The black man is a comparison, he says, right? So this idea that when I'm walking around the street, I'm constantly thinking, how do people see me? Do I come off as this dude? Do I come off as kind of
exactly. It's all about like trying to avoid the white gaze.
That's actually a really important aspect of being othered, that you find yourself constantly feeling like a representative and comparative to other people of your type.
Yeah, I've known brothers who'd be like, you know, I'm not gonna eat like fried chicken or watermelon in front of white people because I know they're gonna read that wrong. And it's like it's one of those things where it's like
that's just sad.
Yeah.
Like even like for me specifically, like even though I'm like super like light skinned and stuff, and most people don't read me as black, I still that alone is like it's like a whole other thing. But like everything that I do, I feel like has like some sort of like major impact on my life, and it shouldn't, because like it's like, you know, like if I present myself a certain way, then it's like I'm betraying what you know, like the idea of what a black person is supposed to be. But if I follow that idea, then I'm doing nothing but participating in a stereotype that's holding our people back. And it's like, what do I do to like avoid the white gaze and still be myself? And a lot of it is just kind of like accepting the fact that like basically no matter what you do, the white gaze is always gonna be there. The important part is to not give a fuck and basically just subvert it and basically just like be the best person that you can be. A lot of that, especially like in like the concept of blackness nowadays, has been just more about like, you know, it's not the 60s anymore. We can be the kind of person that we want to be, and we don't have to adhere to stereotypes, and we just need to get everyone else to catch up.
So I mean, as someone who is dark skinned, and real, and pretty much will never get any benefit of the doubt as being read anything other than black, as well as dark skinned black, which I guess I do think is significant, because there is elements of colorism within those things. Like there is a constant anxiety around presentation. And I'll be honest, I am kind of a bougie dude, so I will wear like nice clothes anyways. But there's this understanding that like if I put this on, I probably read differently. In fact, I'll tell you all the story actually. I came back from work because I work in like industrial, so I work like in construction stuff, and I wore like a giant big puffy jacket and like one of those long toques that spread to the, like that are pointed on top, so they look kind of weird, and like really baggy jeans. And I walked into a store. And I look at and I got some Skittles, and I look all kind of dirty, and I look at the cashier, and she gave me this look of just horror, just like pure, just like pure disgust, just looking at me, and like it was such a weird moment there too, but it's again like I lost my track there before. I was talking about something with Fanon, I don't remember what it was. Can I just say something to TJ real quick about you were saying something about how you feel like now like blackness is becoming, you know, more and more open to the like, you know, it's just
it's becoming a lot more. It's actually like the topic of a book that I've been reading by Teray called Who's Afraid of Post-Blackness, and it basically talks about this entire concept about how like back in the days, like when you were black, that meant like a very specific thing. Like you fit a certain group essentially. Like there was like these behaviors are black. This is like totally a black thing to do. This is, you know, etc. And like nowadays, it's like 2014, and like there's a lot more people on this earth, and there's a lot more mixed race people on this earth. So like the concept of like blackness in general has become a lot